It's another great day. A gift. I'm going to go out and make them. Or do you, like I think so many of us, wake up and go, it's Monday, and struggle a little bit to get started. I have the advantage on a lot of folks because my Monday started a long time ago. Mine started at 1 a.m. So here we are almost 9 hours into the day. For me, it's a little bit easier. Good morning to you. I'm Dan Gresham, and this is the at-home update. And it really, I'm at this point where I'm really struggling because I think maybe it shouldn't be called the at-home update. Maybe it should just be called at home instead of the at-home update. I don't know. We'll work on that and see, because here's what we've been talking about. If you're joining us this morning and you weren't in on the discussion last week, you can get your headlines from a whole lot of places, and I want to keep you up to date with what's happening in the headlines. I do, but at the same time, I want to talk about bigger issues. I want to talk about maybe one thing for the entire time we're together versus talking about several things. So, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. This morning, we do have several items we want to talk about, want to get out in front of you. First thing I do every single morning is try to remind you that you have a way to communicate with me. And that's what makes this special to me as far as a Facebook live stream, is the fact that you can directly comment and I can see it. I can pull up everybody's comments. I can see everybody's comments when you comment. So if you want to just say, good morning, quit being grumpy, Dan. It's Monday. You're lucky you get another Monday. Or if you want to be one of those people who says, I'm with you, nothing worse day of the week, whatever, that's fine. Or if you have an issue you want to discuss this morning, or if you just want to say, I'm watching from wherever, because I always find that interesting, where people are watching from. Are you watching from, Viter? Are you watching from Buffalo, New York? And we do have people who have watched all over the country. So it's always kind of fun to watch that. Again, I'm in my home. This is my home studio, both for video and for painting, for art. So it's kind of the craft room in my house. We welcome you in this morning as we move forward on this 16th day of November. Let's start things off by going over to KFDM.com, see what's happening there this morning. And we have a couple of stories of interest. One is Port Neches police seeking a person of interest after a woman was found inside an apartment dead, stabbed to death. So this is a homicide investigation that is underway there in Port Neches. As that changes, we'll bring you more information. Chambers County's the deputies there find a woman deceased in a drainage ditch or near the drainage ditch on Hankomer Loop Road. So they're still investigating. An autopsy has been ordered in that story. So this is an interesting story, and I think it's one, while this story kind of focuses in on the Salvation Army, I think it's a story, unfortunately, in the middle of this pandemic that could probably be shared by a lot of nonprofits. And that is, where do we find people? Where do we find volunteers? Where do we get people who are interested in helping us and don't have to worry? Well, there's no such thing. I was going to say don't have to worry about the coronavirus, but there's no such thing in today's world, I don't think, of not worrying about the coronavirus. It's how much do you worry about the coronavirus? Is it something that, weights you down constantly? Or is it something that you're cognizant of, and you take precautions and you try to do the best you can? Or do you just completely throw things out the window and you're not too concerned about it at all? But if they're nonprofits and their conscious effort on these people's part is to make sure their volunteers are safe. So that's one concern. The other is, how do we get more people involved? So if you're somebody, you're like, oh, I'd love to give money, but I just don't have the money to give right now. Maybe the donation is time instead of dollars. I'm a big believer that that is the currency of life, is time. A lot of people have dollars, they don't have to. A lot of people have time, though, that they can make a very valuable contribution. So the Salvation Army is looking, and I assure you there are lots of other nonprofits that are in the same situation this morning. Salvation Army saying, look, we're getting to that point where it's the holiday time of the year, and it's about to get pretty tough to find people to work. So if you want to jump in, probably not a bad thing to do. The other interesting story, Hardin County residents complaining that people in their county are not adhering to the mask mandate. And the county judge says, it's posted, there it is. You're supposed to follow this, and if you're not, don't blame me if things get to the point that Governor Abbott jumps back in and does something else. Now, I think a lot of us would say the idea of a total shutdown seems pretty far-fetched at this point, and we can say that. But if the numbers continue to escalate and you have an overrun hospital, I don't think it's out of the question. Now, how well would people abide by it? That might be an even bigger issue to talk about. There are places in this country that they are getting close to that point of finding out. El Paso being one of them, also the Dakotas, which is interesting because you remember Sturgis, the big motorcycle rally, happened in that particular part of the country, and some people are pointing at that as saying it was a super spreader event. All right, so that's what's happening on KFDM.com this morning. We'll get to some other stuff shortly. Right now, though, let's see who's up with us. Jeannie Foster, good morning to you. You're right. Plenty of sunshine today. It's going to be beautiful. Judy Lynn Trussell says, good morning from Winchester, Tennessee. Well, good morning, Judy Lynn. I would think it's probably a little bit cooler or very nice in Winchester, Tennessee at this point. Pretty part of the country, there's no doubt about that. Hi, Diana. Hope you're doing good. Teal this morning says, hello, here in Nederland. My sister-in-law works at a hospital in Houston and said lockdown is coming. Have you heard anything? Teal, again, what I'm hearing is that the people that work in those areas most affected are feeling very nervous right now because of the uptick and the increasing number of cases that they have seen, which puts the pressure then on elected officials to try to figure out how are we going to deal with this. Because the number one issue that you can't afford is losing your healthcare system, right? I mean, whether you believe, don't believe the numbers, but if you have enough people in your hospitals that it overruns the healthcare system and they can't function properly, and then you have to worry about what happens now, what happens to a stroke victim, what happens to a heart attack, what happens to the person who's taking chemo, that's when the concern kicks in. Patricia Ann, good morning to you. Hey, Fawn, hope everything is doing well for you here. Carrie, good morning to you as well. I always like that one, top of the morning. That's very much kind of an Irish thing, or maybe top of the day, top of the morning to you. Jill, good morning to you. Also, Robin, good morning as well. Susan Guidry is up this morning. Jeannie Foster is, yes, Jeannie, I am at home, and I'm glad you're here with me. Denise Thomas, good morning to you. Teresa, good morning. Also, Kenneth Leach, hope things are good over there in Little Cyprus this morning. Patricia, thankful and grateful to God. Thanks to you for what you do. Well, thank you. That's very kind. Appreciate that. Susan Guidry says, how was your weekend? Well, you know what? My weekend was quick. How was yours? Do you ever feel like Friday just ended and then all of a sudden you're thinking, and the hard part is you're already in that mindset that I got to go back to work. And that can happen on Friday afternoon, unfortunately. Hi, Kimberly. Yeah, you're right. Too many people getting killed. And again, those numbers are going up. Betty Sizemore, good morning to you there in Lumberton. Susan Guidry says, so sad. So much violence. April, good morning. Also, Patricia, give time. I think that's a real easy thing to do. Hi, Mike. I'm not sure I know where La Feria is. Where La Feria, I'm going to have to look that one up. La Feria, Texas. I feel like I'm pretty good with Texas geography, but I'm not sure I know where La Feria is. But if I were guessing from the name, I would probably guess west. But then La Porte is really just a suburb of Houston. So I'm not sure that's always a good way to go. Again, Kenneth, good morning to you. Jason, glad you're up there. Didn't get what? I posted it, Jason. I don't know what happened this morning. Jackie, good morning to you from Minnesota. Do you get that a lot? Minnesota. Bone-chilling cold in Minnesota or just cold in Minnesota? They said that doctors don't even want to go to the hospitals in El Paso. And Kimberly, I think that may be true, but to some degree. But I think that you may have also seen a story that I saw from an ER nurse who said doctors didn't want to go into the wards with the COVID patients if they didn't have to. And the reason that they were saying that, by way of explanation, the administration of those hospitals was saying that they're trying not to expose doctors to the point that they get sick and then they can't do their rounds and they can't take care of others. But it is a pretty dire situation already in some of these El Paso hospitals. I don't know if anybody else saw the story, but there was kind of a scary story coming out of Italy over the weekend where somebody took video inside one of the hospitals, inside one of the emergency rooms. It was horrible. Deplorable conditions, terrible situation. And the administrator said, we got to be honest with you, this is not what we want, but this is what we're dealing with. And that's what you don't want to happen, right? You don't want it to de-escalate to that point. And that's why I think a lot of people feel certain that you're going to see stricter restrictions. I'm not sure it's necessarily going to be a lockdown. Maybe it's a national mask mandate. Good morning, Dan. Enjoy your day. I certainly will. April is also up with us this morning. Lisa Harris says, and Lisa, I think yours is so big it won't fit on the screen, unfortunately. She says, good morning from Viter. A mandate is not a law, so I think the police have more important things to do than be mask police. I want to have respect for the business, but that's the end of it. Off the minute I come out of the store. And I think most people don't have a problem with that. Lisa, if you want to take it off the minute you come out of the store, that's yours to do. The problem is people who don't want to wear it once they go in the store. And do it, if we really got down to it, do we really need a mandate to tell us we should be doing something for the good of others? And I know the issue is you're taking away my civil liberties, but if in fact you could protect somebody else by simply wearing a mask, whether it was in a store or wherever, do we really need a mandate to do that? Sheila, good morning to you. Also another Sheila, this one Richardson. Good morning, thank you. Teresa, good morning. Mike Folk is up this morning. Harlingen, okay, Mike, deep South Texas. I got you. Now I know where you're at. Shakira, good morning to you. Debbie Gentry, good morning. Also, a lot of other folks getting up this morning and, of course, getting into their day on this 16th of November for 2020. And we do thank you for being part of our show. I don't know what's going. My camera is out of focus today, but I'll work on that and make sure that we get it fixed. All right, let me show you a couple other quick stories this morning that I wanted to take you to, and then I'll let you go. Always the reminder that the Texas Human Health and Human Services has this dashboard. And again, you can go and find all different kinds of numbers that you want. You can look at, case data, whether it's tests, number of people who've been tested positive, blah, blah, blah. But again, if you come back to the cornerstone, that the most important thing is saving lives and not overrunning your health system, this is a great tool to watch. Look, this is where we at Texas, because on this dashboard, I can do statewide, and I can do regional. This is statewide. So back in July, we had 10,993 or 83 people hospitalized. You go to the last date they report, which I think is Saturday, you had 7,151. But you look back, it wasn't that long ago, you're at 300. So 3,000. So you've more than doubled that. So that's concerning for a lot of people. Are we headed back for a spike like this? Comparatively speaking, Southeast Texas is in a much better situation than a whole lot of the country as far as numbers go, right? All right, so that's the one story I wanted to, and the other story I wanted to show you was the fact that if you missed it, USA Today, among others, reporting that we have another vaccine that looks very effective. Moderna's candidate for COVID-19 looks to protect 94.5% of those who get it. 94.5. Remember, the other was like 98 or something. But the problem is not the efficacy rate or how good they are. The problem is logistics on producing and distributing. You know, the previous, the Pfizer has to be, I mean, it's like what, minus 70 Fahrenheit that it has to be stored in or something. It has to be super cold. So people are saying that may become a problem for distribution, although they're working on it. And it's also two parts. So you get one, but you have to have the other. So these vaccines are a hope on the horizon, but I don't think you'll find anybody who'll say that, okay, every person in the United States who wants to will be able to have this vaccine, you know, by January. Maybe April of next year. That's not that far, but we got to get there, and that's the main thing. All right, and I want to end up finally this morning with this story. I thought it was a very interesting story. Texas Monthly. Rice University's secret for containing the coronavirus. They have a student-run court that takes care of rules breakers. And you might want to just go and read it. Like I say, I thought it was an interesting read. If you're spending some time today, that's in Texas Monthly. And it is byline of Peter Holly in Texas Monthly. All right, I got things to do. You got things to do. We got places to be, people to see. So go out and do that. Do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. A like would be appreciated. But if you don't like, then give me the angry face. Whatever you need to do, that's fine too. But remember, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Also, of course, you can follow us not only here on KFTM's Facebook page, also on Twitter at Morning TV Dan, and on YouTube we have a channel. It's Dan's at Home, where we try to push everything over to make sure you get a chance to see the at-home version if you want to. Just that simple. I'm out of here. I'm going to enjoy some of the sunshine today somehow, some way. Hopefully you will too. And again, reach out to a neighbor, check on them, make sure they're good. Random act of kindness. Never hurt anybody that I know of. So reach out to somebody if you can. And of course, don't forget, you can get the latest news, weather, and sports coming up noon today, as well as 5:36, 9, and 10 o'clock before we come back bright and early tomorrow morning. Again, go out and make it a terrific Monday. We'll talk again soon.